Hello everyone and welcome to WILDchild TV. My name's Jarryd. We're here at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve and this is Becoming a Ranger, Tracks and Signs. Now on today's episode of Tracks and Signs, we're going to head out to see what signs we can find of animals. So on the first two episodes, we looked at what is tracking, how to identify tracks, and now we're going to look at how to identify signs and what do those signs mean. So what do signs tell us? It tells us what animal was there, how long ago that particular animal was there, and in some cases it will even let us know that the animal's still in the area. So tracks aren't the only signs that an animal will leave when it walks around. So a rhino, buffalo or elephant, when it's had a mud bath and it walks through the bushes, will often leave bits and pieces of mud up against a tree or a fallen over tree trunk. A lion walking through wet grass early in the morning, you can actually see that trail where the lions walk through. After vultures have fed on a carcass, they'll often go to a waterhole and then prune themselves, and you'll see lots and lots of feathers in the area. And in this case, we know that a porcupine walked here because it left its quills behind. So when interpreting different signs, we use most of our senses. Sense of sight, smell, hearing, touch, and maybe even taste. So how do we use our senses to be able to tell that this over here is elephant dung? So when I look at it, I can see that it's roundish, kind of like a soccer ball, and I look at the plant matter that's inside here. We've got grass and twigs. How do I know that this is fresh or old? So you'll notice over here we've got some old dung. You'll see it's very hard and it's dry on the outside. And if we look at this dung over here, we can see that this is pretty fresh. It's still quite wet on the outside. Now we can also use our sense of touch to tell how old this dung is. If I put my finger in the middle of the dung, and I can feel that that's quite cold, and because it's cold I know that it's not fresh. Now using our hearing, now how can I identify that there's an elephant in the area? And we can use it actually by listening for the dung. Now what do I mean is when an elephant defecates, you can imagine he's really tall, and if he's in the bushes you can't hear him, but you might hear this, and another one, and another one. You might know that that elephant's in the area. You can even smell if the dung is fresh or not. So this dung over here almost has no smell. It actually smells a lot like sand, where this dung over here, or very fresh elephant dung, it almost smells like someone's recently cut grass. So one of the great things about signs that we can hear is that we know that the animal we're looking for is close by. So what are the common auditory signs that us as guides use every single day? So one of the most important sounds that you'll hear in the bush while tracking predators is animals alarming. This is why it's so important to just stop and listen from time to time. So who will alarm? Vervet monkeys, baboons, most species of birds, antelope like kudu, inyala, impala, and even sometimes elephants will trumpet if they see predators. So I tracked these rhinos to a game path that goes into a thicket over here, not too far from where we had them sleeping last night. And I think that these rhinos are in here. The reason being is I can hear oxpeckers busy calling in this thicket. Now oxpeckers are birds that will sit on top of most of the large herbivores and feed off the ticks that are on those herbivores. We will often use oxpeckers when looking for black rhino, white rhino and buffalo, and we will listen out for them, or we will see where they've landed to go look for those animals. Carcass will also be a visual sign of what has fed on it. So if you come across a carcass that has bits and pieces of the carcass spread throughout the area, bits of the bones throughout, and the ribs and other parts of the bones gnawed on, this will indicate that a pride of lions has fed on this carcass. If you come to a carcass and it has only been partially fed on or mostly fed on, but the carcass and the skull structure itself is still intact, this would be from a cheetah. If you were to come across a carcass that is on the ground and you'll see lots of fur spread throughout the carcass, or a carcass up in the tree. This would be from a leopard, because we know leopards put their kills in trees to keep it away from other predators. And when a leopard feeds on its carcass, it will often pluck at the fur and then spit it out just around the carcass. And then finally, if you come across a carcass that there's not much left behind, just a little bit of meat and 1 or 2 bones, this would indicate that a group or clan of hyenas has fed on the carcass, because we know that hyenas feed on the bones and they pretty much eat everything that they can on that carcass. So I trust that you enjoyed this episode of WILDchild TV. My name is Jarryd, and this is Becoming a Ranger, Tracks and Science.